Welcome, my friends. That's right. You're back on another episode of Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise DiGrigoli. Every week, we're spilling the beans, a show designed to help you move forward in work, love, and life. Who doesn't need that, really? If you just found me, welcome. And if you're a regular, thanks for coming back. This is where I spill the beans and interview some fascinating people from all walks of life, mavericks in their own right. You know what? It's like coffee with a friend. Unedited, authentic, real, short formats. Why? Because we're busy. We got stuff to do. We want to share our best with you, spill the beans, and move forward. Part 2 today of an incredible guest back in the green room, or shall I say the plaid room, Mindy Miller. Part 2. Now, if you didn't listen to her first part, please check that out first because her story of transformation and transition is so inspiring. Beyond her life and her journey, she has reduced her weight by 80 pounds over the past 2 years. She sort of went from literally riches to rags with no real budget and transformed her life from inside out. And the proof is in the pudding. So if you're listening to the pod, great, but follow us too on YouTube and see Mindy and her fabulousness. Min, welcome back to the pod.
Thanks for having me back.
Now, we left off with the fact that you are in this transition. You have a very cool career, but you are also imparting or embarking on maybe what could be considered a new sideline, sharing your aggregation of information as a transformation coach or thereabouts. You're working all that out. So this is a prequel, my friends. But you left us with like these 3 incredible beans yesterday. And we're in short format, so we wanted to bring these pieces back. And you say taking personal responsibility and accountability is a key touchstone, combined with getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and motivation versus discipline. So I want to rock the world on these 3 concepts. I know personally, I meet a lot of people, including myself at times, that can be uncomfortable and can't find any comfort in that whole phrase. But you're sort of the queen of that. So I want to start with bean number 2.
Excellent. Well, I've never been able to be uncomfortable ever. I didn't realize that. But addiction of any kind or
addiction like to coffee?
Could be anything. We think of addiction as alcohol, drugs, gambling, but it's food, it's shopping, it's sometimes over-exercising. Sometimes it is just doing anything that is taking you out of the moment. And not because it's just one of those things you just kind of want to do. It's a hobby or something like that. When it gets excessive, when you're using it as a crutch to not deal. So almost every kind of addiction starts with that. You're uncomfortable. You don't know how to deal with that. And so you eat or you
swear,
whatever it is, you avoid it at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that you just keep sweeping those feelings under the rug.
It's a distraction of sorts. It doesn't have to be maniacal, like radical alcoholism or drug use.
Exactly. You just keep sweeping it under the rug, and eventually you're going to trip over that big hump that's under the rug.
The hump grows.
Oh, absolutely. For me, it grew. It took decades. And then I fell flat on my face. And I realized, wow, okay. So I basically just do what I sit in my shit. And I know that sounds vulgar and it's gross because that is what it feels like. It's so uncomfortable. But it gets more comfortable. It does. It's weird. It's weird that you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but it's essential.
So if people listening are saying, well, I've got some uncomfortable things in my life that I don't want to deal with, so I avoid them. How can you gently move them into being uncomfortable? What would you recommend? How do I get to be comfortable being uncomfortable?
You do uncomfortable things.
Like what?
Anything outside of your comfort zone. it's different for everybody.
Right.
It's different for everybody because, you know, some people need to jump out of an airplane to do that. Some people need to get on stage because they have stage fright. Some people need to simply go out of their home because they're agoraphobic and that's too scary for them. So it's kind of, you know, working on pushing through your comfort zone, you know, so you can grow. And it's so cliche. People talk about that all the time, but it's true. For me, all I had to do was stop and sit. And
how did you know it was working? You're sitting over there in your poopy diaper?
Exactly.
Like, how did you know it was working?
I smelled it.
Oh, great. Metaphorically and otherwise.
Exactly. Because I survived. Like there were some things that I so didn't want to deal with so deeply for so long.
Yeah.
That when I decided that I was going to literally sit there, and when I say sit, I mean sit on the couch, like almost in a dark room, no music, no TV, or sit on the floor and just sit there when I really wanted to go grab a bag of chips, or I really wanted to call a friend, or I really wanted to, you know, go take a walk, or I really wanted to, whatever it was, whatever my stuff is that I just didn't. And again, all that stuff is okay until you realize you're using it as a complete and utter avoidant, you know, distraction. So I literally did just sit there, and then the feeling would get so overwhelming, and I would just try to not have judgment. I'd try to have my inner voice not beat me up, and I just try to sit there, and then I survived.
Did you have the luxury of time? Because what about the people that are listening and say, I don't have any time to sit in a good diaper, bad diaper, or indifferent?
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No.
Everybody has a couple of minutes.
It's what's important to you. Everybody has a couple of minutes. Everybody has that moment when they go to, in my case, we're going to use food. When they know that they need to do something, whatever it is, return an email. Could be something so small. But instead they go to the kitchen first. Because let me just grab even an apple. Do you really, you know, is that what you really want?
A shot of whipped cream from Trader Joe's hidden in the back of the fridge.
Exactly.
Just asking for a friend, actually.
Exactly. I know, I'm sitting here thinking, that's such bullshit. I've never walked to the kitchen to grab an apple as my comfort, but whatever.
Sounds good. I love it.
Right, exactly. So, you know, it's like suddenly you realize you start kind of calling yourself out.
Yeah.
Am I hungry? I just had lunch. Why am I hungry? I'm not really hungry. What's really going on? And you kind of call yourself out like you would call out your friend, or, you know, it's so easy seeing things in other people. So I started looking at myself like I was another person.
I had once a stage comedy professor who I absolutely love, Christine O'Leary, and she would say, tell on yourself. Tell on yourself. That's such a door opener, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And be okay with telling on yourself and also not passing judgment. I didn't say passing wind. I said passing judgment. And then if I know or hear you correctly, and yesterday's part 1, it was kind of like after you got through it a few times, you just started, the train was out of the station. And it was almost like you flexed that muscle and you could do it more and more. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to think that it took me to be in my late 50s to actually do that. You know, I've been.
You don't look a day over 32. What are you saying? We roast ageism here on Mavs Coffee.
Hey, look, I'm happy. I'll never complain about getting old. Never ever. So I'm all good with that. But it's amazing how much time I wasted avoiding things that most of them weren't that scary. Some of them were that scary. But not dealing with them has its own set of problems, like gaining 80 pounds or whatever it is, you know.
How long did it take you? Because you were a competitive cheerleader, dancer, trainer to the stars, frankly. How long did it take you to gain 80 pounds as a woman that was so universally fit?
It was, you know, a little bit over time. Like I wasn't a big yo-yo person. I just went straight up. And then I had a period in 2014 that I kind of like, oh, I lost like 30 pounds. And then, but I didn't deal with the why I ate.
Mm-hmm.
So it came back and then I kept going straight up again.
So that sounds to me like bean number 3, motivation versus discipline.
Yes.
Now, when you said that to me, I always choose a couple anchor words every year. My anchor words this year are invite and release, right? Because I know in my works, like motivation doesn't last, neither does bathing. That's why we do it daily. But I loved what you said. It's like motivation, you said yesterday, was bullfit. And then you said it's more about discipline. Now, discipline can ring to me as a negative word, but you made it a positive word. Let us in on that.
So I thought that people were either born with discipline or they weren't. It was like a personality
Like
trait.
you had hair or no hair.
Right, exactly. Or, or you had a aptitude in something and not something else.
Oh,
and
this is interesting.
And so it turns out, I'm sure some people are born with better discipline than others. However, it's a muscle. It's a muscle like anything else that you can train and you can work and you can make it stronger and stronger and stronger. Because the biggest secret to transformation that lasts,
Are you listening, my friends?
is
Transformation that lasts, because we all need that.
Exactly. It's consistency. It's consistency. And here's
Repetition.
what I realized. Here's what I realized. And it was like this mind-blowing moment for me.
But it was so simple.
Yeah. I realized one day, I'm like, motivation is utter bullshit. It is. It's like, by definition of the word motivation, you're motivated. Hello. If you're motivated, you're going to do what it is that you need to do. That's easy. I mean, but it's when you're not motivated, what do you do? Because you have to stay consistent. I didn't wake up every day going, oh, I can't wait to, restrict my,
Calories.
right, like yummy foods. And I can't wait to do that hard workout. And I can't wait to do my meditation. No, there were many days where I just was like, I don't want to do this today. And I did it anyway. And it was like...
So were you kind to your inner child? Was your inner dialogue like, come along, sweetie, we're going to go do the most sweat hoggish workout ever, and we're going to go right by the cake factory. No. Or it's like, you dumb stitch, move it.
No, but that's a whole other part of my sort of aggregation of information is self-talk. We can talk about that another time in depth because it's and sort of inner child work, but that can be another show.
But does that mess up your quest for discipline?
It does, because I think, it also, to want to transform to begin with, to want to save yourself, to want to get healthier, you have to have some sense of self-love.
Right.
Like you want to save this person within you, and so it has to start with that. And I had such self-loathing and shame at the time. I had to dig really deep to like figure out that this person was worth, and I say this person like it's not myself sitting here, but that's kind of how I felt. I kind of had to look at myself from the outside.
Yeah.
Like I was a different person. I had to train myself to speak to myself the way I would my daughter or your daughter or a friend or something like that.
Compassionate.
Yeah.
Empathy.
I mean, the way I spoke to myself, I think we talked about it on the last episode. The way I spoke to myself was horrible. And I've had people that I've talked to about this. I've said to them, write down some of the things you say to yourself. Just take a day or two. And when something horrible crosses your mind, like write down the worst thing. You don't even have to show me, but you need to write it down and you need to look at that. Because some of the things I said to my own
Great
self.
advice, my friends. And I'm a big proponent of writing things down. Write down what you're saying to yourself. Wow.
Right. And would you ever say that to anybody else? Would you ever let anybody else say it to you? And start from there. And then from there, start doing the exercise as speaking to yourself like you would. I mean, even though it's like, it's so corny, but like, I had to really, I don't know. I had to talk to myself like I was talking to my daughter not my daughter who's 25, but my daughter who, like, she was 8. Like, that's what I had in my head. Was like, okay, talk to yourself like you would have talked to Bryce when she was at that 8-year-old, starting to become a preteen, sensitive, hormonal. It was a little tricky, at that stage for a girl. That's how I decided that's how I was going to talk to myself.
So that brings me back to being number 1, taking personal accountability. It's kind of like the 3 things seem like they, circulate and revolve with each other. Like one informs the next. And sort of discipline and taking accountability, but at the same time being comfortable, being uncomfortable. It's like you are taking yourself on I don't want to say an educational journey, but a re-educating of self and allowing. And so discipline for me, because for some reason, the word discipline for me makes me feel, it brings out my uncomfortableness. Like I was disciplined. I feel like discipline is sort of structure.
Yes.
Sort of like a positive structure, right? It's different than motivation. Like you said, why wouldn't you want to feed your body the most nutritional thing that's available or the most nutritional talk that you have, right? So now these are really important concepts behind your shifting of your entire life. And we're going to actually probably see you more and more on the pod. But now you've transformed. And people are asking you, oh my, I saw it today when we were in workshop. Oh my, you lost 80 pounds. How did you do that? And you gave a wonderful set of insights on how you did that. So as you are continuing to evolve this quest for redesigning personal self, what is Mindy working on for sharing, aggregating this information with others? Like what are you visioning for yourself with this? Like, how are you going to help others? Just cut to the chase.
Yeah. No, it's like a work in progress. All I know is that it's not just about the weight loss. I couldn't have had the weight loss. That's what's apparent. But if I didn't get my mind and my spirit aligned, the weight loss would have never happened and it wouldn't stay off.
So that was a happy result of sorts.
Yeah. So it's a combo. It's a combo. I don't think you can do one without the other in terms of long-term transformation. I just don't. But it's the obvious thing. So people see me. It's like, are you on Ozempic? No. Are you on this?
I know you get hit with that a lot.
Like, oh my gosh, no. But people get curious.
Yeah.
People get curious. And I started talking to so many people. I've had so many people come out of the woodwork and say, hey, like one friend she noticed, she's like, hey, I haven't been on social media for a while. And I seen your social media account, and I think it was Instagram or something like that. And she said, I hope that this isn't offensive, but you look great. I hope it's for healthy reasons and you're not like sick.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you shed a whole person.
Right.
And we're all constantly evolving. So I want to know, for the people out there listening, what do you want them to take away from this particular coffee chat? What's the next action step for somebody that's stuck, that's really been wanting to transform any part of their life, never mind, in your case, weight loss, the happy result? What's the number one thing that Mindy Miller would recommend?
I think it would be to get really real with yourself. No denial. There's no room for denial here. It's okay. Show yourself some grace and seek out somebody like me to support and give good tips.
You heard it right here on Mav's Coffee Clarity, my friends. Be kind to yourself. Give some grace. And remember to tune in to Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise DiGregoli weekly and meet more fascinating people like Mindy Miller. Thanks for being on the pod, Min. Speaking of social, where can people find you?
Oh, right now I'm just Seriously Mindy on Instagram.
Seriously Mindy on Instagram. And she is serious in her own very funny and fabulous way. To learn more about my services, visit DeniseDiGregoli.com and find us wherever you listen to your favorite pods. And YouTube as well. Mavs Coffee Clarity with Denise DiGregoli, DeniseDiGregoli.com. Peace out, my friends. We have got to get back to work.